So before we get started today, I just want to say a couple quick things. First of all, I want to remind everyone that before you start doing any type of fitness or diet plan, you need to consult your family doctor, make sure you're healthy and you're good to do so. Aside from that, I also want to point out that all of my guidelines are pretty generalized. These are just things that I find people have problems with the most. And if you think it doesn't quite apply to you, feel free to go to crowdermanfitness.com, go to the contact me page, send me an email, and let me know specifically about your situation, and I will make a video for you and get back to you on it. Ask me any questions you like. So let's get started. If you're here, I'm assuming you did last week's challenge. Good for you. If you haven't done it, the link will be down below. Get it done. Come see me next week. Now that you've tracked your diet for a week and you kind of know where you're at, how many calories you're taking in, one of two things is going to be happening. Either you're taking in way too few calories or you're taking in more calories than you need. The one that's a little counterintuitive here is the fact that if you take in too few calories, you're still going to gain weight. The way I like to think about this, that makes the most sense to me, is whenever I'm trying to figure out why our body does something physiologically, you think of a time when we were more primitive, we didn't have indoor heating, and before a lot of pampering came about. So think about a time when it's cold and there's no vegetation and we have a harder time finding food. So what our body does is it recognizes that we're partially starving ourselves, and it takes that little bit of calorie it's getting and it stores it as food, because in a time when we had no food, it was most likely winter, and we need that little bit of calorie to be stored as fat for when we're in an emergency and we need to be able to hold out as long as we can without food. So this can actually cause you to gain weight. Also, if you're getting too many calories, obviously you're not burning them all, so they're getting stored as fat. Now what you might be asking yourself is, so how do I know how many calories I need? Is it guess and check? Or luckily, a lot of scientists have already thought about this and gone into making the formulas, and they're easily accessible online, just like everything else nowadays. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to find your basal metabolic rate. And this is going to give you the amount of calories that your body weight, your height, your age, and whether you're female or male will need to survive just in the vegetative state. So the bare minimum of calories you would need to get by just exhibiting heat and digesting. Nothing more. But obviously we're doing more than just sitting around all day. We need energy for walking around, going to work, doing all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to post a link below for a basal metabolic rate calculator. All you have to do is fill in the blanks. It'll spit out a number for you. And then you take that number and you multiply it by another number, which I will explain in just a second. So depending on your activity level, you're going to multiply this number by 1.2, 1.3, or 1.4. 1.2 would be if you're a sedentary individual, meaning that you don't exercise, you just do the things that you need to do around the house, you know, like the bare minimum of what you need to do for activity. That would be sedentary. Lightly active would be the 1.3, and that would be those of you who go for walks 2 to 3 times a week. And then the 1.4 would be those of you who do some light to moderate activity, such as jogging 2 to 3 times a week. And I've got a little example here, so I don't know if you can see that. So basically, just the example is that if someone's BMR, their basal metabolic rate, is 1,500 calories, you take that 1,500 calories and you multiply it by 1.3 if you are lightly active. That gives you a number of 1,950 calories that you should be getting that day just to maintain. But we want to lose weight. We don't want to maintain. So what we do to lose weight at a healthy rate is we subtract 500 calories from this found number, leaving us with 1,450 calories if your basal metabolic rate is 1,500. The reason we subtract 500 calories from it is because this is our caloric intake for the day. By taking off 500, this is going to give us a caloric deficit of 3,500 calories per week, which is theoretically equivalent to 1 pound. And this is a healthy rate to lose body weight at. And so like I said, today is going to be full of a lot of information. And yeah, it's kind of difficult to speak about diet in generalities. So if you feel I missed something or you want me to go more in detail about something, again, go to my website, send me an email, and I'll touch on it. But for now, here's some things I want you to focus on this week. As rough guidelines for diet, you should be getting at least 2 liters of water per day. You should be decreasing your simple carbs, meaning sugars, white bread, and any soda or juice. Juice is just as bad as pop, just without the CO2 in it. So, also make sure you're getting roughly 7 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables. More so vegetables than fruit, just because they're not quite as sugary. The goal here is to eat a rainbow every day. That sounds kind of weird, but what that means is to get a vegetable of every color. Everyone has different vitamins in it, and it's really good to just get a good myriad of vegetables going. Furthermore, you need to start buying all of your groceries and cooking your own food, because eating out just is not a good alternative. Restaurants do not offer healthy food. It's usually packed with salt or sugary sauces and all kinds of bad stuff if you're trying to lose weight. When you're at the grocery store, I don't know if you get distracted down those pop and chip aisles where everything's all bright and colorful and tasty looking. So the trick here is to stay on the perimeter. And if you haven't noticed this before, all of your 4 food groups are located on the outside of the grocery store. So there's really no reason you should be dipping into those inside aisles anyway and getting tempted. Also, another added benefit here is that if I'm correct, I believe that they don't charge tax on the 4 food groups. Next up, I would like you to increase your fiber intake. People do not get enough fiber. It is unreal. We're supposed to be getting about, for women, 25 grams per day, and for men, 38 grams per day. And if you have ever looked at how much fiber you're getting, I can almost guarantee it's grossly under this number. So some sources of fiber are steel-cut oats, not those quick oats. Hemp seeds, flax seeds, that kind of stuff. Help keep you regular, keep you happy, keep you light. On top of that, when you're grocery shopping, I want you to start reading the nutrition labels. Start watching out for lots of salts, added sugars, hydrogenated oils. Those are all bad things. A rule of thumb I like to follow is that if you can't pronounce it, it's probably a chemical that should not be inside of your body. And finally, 2 more points here. Stick to lean meats, meaning fish, chicken, preferably white meats. Red meats are not a complete no-no, but if you're going to eat them, try to do so in moderation. And then also, you should start taking in healthy fats, which are going to be coming from walnuts, almonds, and those types of things, avocados. Obviously, this seems like a big change, and a couple of key points here to keep in mind are to just accept that you're going to need a cheat day. Nobody can eat perfect all the time. You have cravings, you need that sugar sometimes, so you don't need it, but you just, if you fight it too much, it's just going to make it more difficult to stick on track. So set a day, and then that way you can have a goal to eat well to that day, and then have yourself a little treat for doing so well. Don't go crazy on this day, don't eat a whole cake or anything, but have one meal. Just plot that meal out all week. Have it as motivation, keep you going. Yeah, so that was a lot of information I just threw at you. If you think I missed anything or there's anything you want me to touch on, again, send me an email, ask me the question, and I will get back to you. As for challenges this week, I've got 3 of them for you. The first of which, start eating cleaner. Using the tips below I've given you, try to stick to those. Start doing some research. Look into other diets. There's all kinds of good stuff on the internet. Find out your caloric intake. Type in Google example diet for 1,500 calories a day. And the good thing is a lot of people just make these and put them out there for you. Keep in mind what I've told you and make sure it's still healthy. Challenge number 2, start moving more. I know this was challenge from last week, but I mean more on top of more. So for this week, I'm going to challenge you to walk 14 kilometers in total in the next 7 days. If you can do more, go nuts. Thirdly, I would like you to start setting some goals. Now, when you're setting goals, it's important to remember the acronym SMART. S, specific, measurable. So, something that you can measure, obviously, to keep track of it. You want to get stronger, so that would be weights. If you want to get slimmer, you would measure the circumference of your stomach. That type of thing. When measuring, sometimes going by body weight isn't the best thing, because in the first few weeks over this time we're going to spend together, as we're getting into some exercising, what you're going to notice is you're going to actually probably gain some weight. And this isn't because you're getting fatter or anything like that. Your body is adapting to the new demands it needs to meet, which means it's going to be formulating new red blood cells, and that's going to increase your weight right there. Goals, A, should be adjustable. R, make sure they're realistic. So obviously if you're a little 4-foot guy, pretty large, you're not going to set a goal to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger and compete in the next Mr. Olympia. Finally, time-based. Make sure you set a time, because if you don't, then we just procrastinate all day. If you set a goal for a few months from now to be a certain way, it's going to give you that pressure to keep you motivated. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it was a little longer. There was a lot of stuff to put in this one. So please give me your feedback, send me some emails, and good luck. I'll see you next week.